One of the most common questions people ask me is, how did you find out about Nia? It's a funny story. I was working in Japan, came back to Houston to visit my then boyfriend. So back in Houston, I was teaching aerobics, and every time I went to put the cassette into the machine, which shows you how long ago it was. When did you last put a cassette in the machine? My body reacted. I literally felt nauseous and felt like I was gonna throw up. And it really freaked me out. Literally, I was like, what's going on? I feel like I'm gonna throw up every time I teach aerobics. And if I don't teach aerobics, how am I gonna maintain my weight? And also, if I'm not an aerobics teacher, who am I? My whole identity and my compulsive eating was all wrapped around teaching aerobics. I figured I'd have a great solution to the problem by going to an idea convention in New Orleans that was specializing in seniors fitness. So off I went, drove to New Orleans, and I'm sitting in a lecture for fitness for the 40s plus market. I now really laugh at that, in that I'm in my mid to late 40s and I don't consider myself a senior. Anyway, at the time, I'm sitting there in this lecture thinking, I don't want to teach older people fitness. I'm not interested in this. And I couldn't sit still, so I just walked out halfway through. So I'm walking down the corridor of the convention center, feeling really broken. I mean, depressed, demoralized, in my head, like, who am I? What am I gonna do? I can't even sit still. I can't pay attention. If I'm not an aerobics teacher, who am I? What am I gonna do? And as I'm walking down the corridor, I heard this intriguing music, and I thought, I wonder what that is. I opened a back door to a workshop with Debbie and Carlos Rosas. As I looked into that door, it was one of the most freakiest things I'd seen. There were people dancing without their shoes on. And as an exercise physiologist, that's completely contraindicated. Also, they were expressing themselves freely, and for me, I was very emotionally shut down, and it really freaked me out. And also, they were actually free dancing and moving freely, and I was definitely PE teacher, much prefer everybody following directions and form. So the whole thing was way beyond my comfort level, really freaked me out. And also, in that moment, I had one of my most spiritual moments I think I've ever experienced. I wish now, with the awareness that I have, I could have a moment like I had when I opened that door. I saw a beam of light, and I sensed lightness behind me. And it literally was a la kind of moment. And at the time, I was just like, ah, what is going on? I felt this magnet of attraction and repulsion all at the same time. I wanted to run away and run in all at the same moment. And I'm so glad that in that millisecond moment, even though I was very scared, I stepped in. And in the Nia class experience, we have 7 cycles, and I love how I can still remember in 1993, that first step in. I kept my shoes on, and I moved very much with my step touch, and grapevine, maybe a cha-cha-cha, while everyone else was moving freely and expressing all around me. At the end of the experience, I went up to the stage. They had a big banner behind it, and as I was looking up, I asked Debbie Rosas, what's the Nia technique? She said, oh, it's Nia technique. I was like, I have no martial arts experience. I'm very uncoordinated, very little dance experience. I have no yoga experience. Would anyone like me ever be able to do something like Nia? Is there a chance that I could develop the ability to be able to teach this? And Debbie passed me a brochure. She said, there's a training coming up in 3 months' time. You might want to consider it. You're welcome to join us. I drove all the way back from New Orleans to Houston, like wrapping around in my mind, how can I do this? I'm not legal to stay in the country. I just had a visitor's visa. It was going to be running out. I had no way of working in the US, but I knew I wanted to go to Portland and do this training. I sat down with my then boyfriend, Joe, and she was sharing all about, can't even explain what Nia is, but it's already changing my life, and I really feel I'm meant to do it, even though it's really quite freaky. I'll never forget, there was very little eye contact. Joe sat there eating his pasta, and he goes, well, if you ever want to get married, I'll marry you. And I looked at him and I said, is that a proposal? And Joe said, well, I never thought you'd want to get married to someone like me, but you seem really nice, and if it happens to work out, great, and if not, I'll feel really great that I've done something to help you. You seem to be very passionate about doing this, and I'd like to help you do it. I was like, okay. So the next morning, I called my mum in England. Hey mum, I'm gonna stay in America and I'm gonna get married to Joe. There's a pause and my mum says, when? I looked to Joe. I said, hey Joe, when should we get married? Joe looks at his watch. Well, my next day off's Tuesday. And in that moment, I thought about how Joe's family all from Texas, my family all over in England. I get freaked out when I have to like host a dinner or a party for more than 3 people. And the thought of planning a wedding seemed very scary. Suddenly Tuesday seemed really good. I said to my mum, Tuesday. And there was a pause and she said, I'll call you back. So, Joe and I got married at the Justice of the Peace downtown in Houston. We actually went windsurfing for the day. I had a t-shirt I made that said Juma, and he had a t-shirt that said St. Reed. And so when we were together with our t-shirts windsurfing, we said just married. We got married and it is nice. We flew to England a few days later and my mum and dad put on a lovely party at my home in the garden. And we got to celebrate with family and friends, and it was a lovely, relaxed celebration. We had a great time. We went for our honeymoon in Yorkshire. That's the story. I went and did that training and actually started teaching Nia a week later after my white belt, and I have not looked back since. It's been my full-time passion. It's interesting, isn't it, in life, you know, that split-second moment, that moment when I was at the door and wondering whether to step in or not, and something inside of me, even though I was scared and it looked really freaky, I stepped in, and I'm very thankful in that it's changed my life. Hope you enjoyed this story. I hope it inspires you to check out Nia. I hope that it also maybe inspires you of noticing that moments in your life when perhaps there's something scary and you're not sure whether you have the confidence to do it. That sometimes those moments when we make a choice to do something that's scary, it's what makes one of those turns in our life that then opens up into so many possibilities. I love that I get to celebrate my Nia birthday and my wedding anniversary. How great that I've been in Nia full-time for more than 20 years and also married to Joe for more than 20 years. I hope you had fun. Check out more adventures here and be sure to let me know if there's anything else that you're curious about. Have fun. Bye.